Good day to everyone. Welcome to the topic income tax on individuals. And this topic is in accordance with the Tax Reform Acceleration and Exclusion or TRAIN law. We'll begin with the types of individual income taxes and taxpayers. We have the first one, regular income taxes. So when we say regular income taxes, these are taxes derived from the ordinary income. So ano ba yan? Income from the profession, okay, or business, or it could either be income from compensation under the employer-employee rule. Okay, so it could also be passive income derived abroad from a resident citizen. Okay, passive income ha, pero derived from abroad, okay, from a resident citizen, and other income or gains reflected in the income tax return of the taxpayer. Aside from regular income, we have also final taxes on passive income. So, a final tax is imposed upon the gross passive income of the citizen and resident aliens. Remember the taxpayers, citizen and resident aliens. So, how will we consider that the income is passive? So, an income is considered passive if there is no active participation on part of the taxpayer. So, the examples of passive income are first, yield from deposit substitutes. Diba? So, that is an interest income. And trust fund. We have also royalty income. Okay? And we have also dividends, and also we have prizes and winnings. So those are the examples of passive income that there is no active participation on the part of the taxpayer. Therefore, you are just merely waiting for the income to come in. Aside from that, we have also capital gains taxes. These are taxes derived from capital gain or profits in selling capital assets. So, if you could still remember, under the dealings of properties, we have two types of asset. It could be ordinary assets and it could be capital assets. Capital assets are those assets that are not used in the ordinary course of the business. Okay? So, ordinary assets are those assets that are connected or used in the business operation. So, ayan. While capital asset is a type of asset that is not connected to the business or profit undertakings. So, we have examples of capital gains. Example na lang dyan is stock and securities held by the taxpayer other than dealer and securities. Kapag dealer ka kasi, hindi na yan capital asset. Ordinary assets na yan. Okay? We have also real and personal properties not used in trade or business. Not used ha, hindi ginagamit. Example, residential house, jewelries natin, okay, and a lot more. You have also investment property. Yun yung mga examples ng mga capital gains taxes natin. Okay? So, if you could sell them, and if it is at a gain, so that gain will be subjected to capital gains tax. So, the next part is regular income taxation. So, under the Section 2 of the Revenue Regulation Number 8, Series of 2018, we have the following terminologies used in the regulation. So, we have compensation income, gross receipts, gross sales. Okay? So, when we say compensation income, these are all remuneration for services performed by an employee for his employer under employee-employer relationship unless specifically excluded by the code. So, example ng mga compensation income are salaries and wages mo. Okay? That are usually included in your gross income, emoluments and honoraria if ever may mga allowances and commissions ka din, ayan, that's still part of your compensation income. Example ng mga allowances and commission, for example, transportation, representation, entertainment, and the like. Okay. We have also fees, including director's fees. Okay, if the director is at the same time an employee of the employer or corporation. We have also taxable bonuses and fringe benefits, except na lang if those are subject to fringe benefit tax under Section 33. Alam naman natin na kapag fringe benefit tax, pagdating kay rank and file, taxable siya as normal income tax, okay, or regular income tax. However, kapag fringe benefits pagdating kay managerial possessions, okay, that is not subject to regular income tax kundi fringe benefit tax. Except na lang if that is specifically exempted under the law, for example, under the employer's convenience rule. Okay? So, konting knowledge lang about fringe benefits. Okay? Aside from that, we have also de minimis na hindi naman included to your compensation income. Okay? These are mandatory benefits, small benefits that is given to the employees. Okay? Example, rice subsidy, uniform and clothing allowance, and laundry allowance. Although part siya ng compensation, but these the minimis benefits are not taxable. Unless na lang kung nag-exceed siya doon sa minimum benefit amount niya. So, kung nasumobra, that is taxable na. You have also laundry allowance. Aside from the minimis, we have also taxable pensions kapag nag-retire ka na, okay? And other income which is of similar nature, okay? Compensation income, yun yung mga sinabi ko a while ago, but hindi lahat taxable. May mga items for compensation that are not taxable. Okay? So we have gross receipts, okay? So sa gross receipts, ito yung income or the total amount of money or its equivalent representing the contract price. Okay? Compensation, service fee, rental or royalty, including the amount charged for materials supplied with the services, and deposits and advance payment. Actual talagang natanggap or constructively, hindi mo naman natanggap physically. Okay? For example, na-charge sa bank account mo. That is constructively receipt. Okay? During the taxable period for the services performed or to be performed for another person, except returnable security deposit for these regulations. In case of the value-added taxpayer, this shall be included in your VAT component. So, yan yung gross receipts, guys. Okay, it could be your contract price, it could be the compensation, meaning when we say gross, hindi pa uh, subject for any deductions. Okay? Aside from gross receipts, we have also the terminology gross sales. Okay? When we say gross sales, this refers to total sales transactions net of VAT if applicable. Net of VAT talaga yan. Okay? Kasi kapag selling price lang kasi ang binigay under the tax code or under the problem, that is usually net of VAT. Pero kapag invoice price kasi, okay, usually with VAT na yan. Kasi 'di ba kapag nakikita natin yung invoice natin o resibo natin o OR, if you are familiar with that OR, ayan, nandoon na ang computation ng VAT. So, kapag invoice po ang binigay, that is exclusive of VAT, meaning andun na ang VAT. Pero kapag selling price lang ang binigay, net of VAT na yan. So, if applicable, reported during the period without any deduction, gross pa kasi. However, gross sales is subject to the 8% income tax rate option, which shall be net of the following. Okay? It could be subject to 8% optional tax under the trade law. Pero, when we say gross sale, it doesn't mean na wala talaga siyang deduction. Under the tax code, gross sales could mean gross sales less sales return and allowances for which a proper credit or refund was made during the period or month or quarter to the buyer for sales previously recorded as taxable sales. We have also discounts, deduct din natin, determined and granted at the time of sale. So, kung mapapansin natin, sales return that was properly credit or refund. Discounts that was properly granted at the time of sale. So, ang gusto lang ng tax code, i-deduct mo ito, pero dapat naka-credit na or nabigay mo na talaga. Kasi may mga other discounts and sales return na hindi naman talaga na-record pa. So, if it is recorded at may entry na sa libro ninyo, then pwede na siyang i-deduct. Okay. So, that's how we interpret that. So, next is taxable income. So, as defined under Section 2 of the Revenue Regulation Number 8, Series of 2018, this refers to the pertinent items of gross income specified in the code, less deductions, if any, authorized for such types of income by code or other special laws. So, we will really begin from the gross income. Okay, your gross income could be gross receipts, gross sales, or your compensation. Okay. Less deductions. Ayan, if ever there is deductions, is our deductions. If you are going to deduct that, then you could get your taxable income. Okay, wala pong, may deduction sa compensation, pero it's more of the mandatory benefits. Okay, and other tax-exempt items. Pero dito sa Section 2, under Revenue Regulation, it talks more on the business income. Okay, may mga deductions tayo like cost of sales and other itemized deductions. If hindi naman itemized, it would be optional standard deductions. So, if nag-optional standard deduction ka na, you cannot use itemized. Lalong-lalo na kapag yan yung na-implement nyo during the first quarter. So, during the first quarter, it should be similarly or uniformly applied. Okay, so after deductions, taxable income tayo, then progressive tax rates. Ano ba yung meaning ng progressive tax rates? When we say progressive, as the income goes higher, your tax liability also will go higher. Meaning, ang rate niya din will go higher. And aside from that, if you are going to multiply it from the progressive tax rates, which is revised under the train law, ayan, that will be your tax due. Ililess mo na lang if there are any tax credit, ayan, in case a tax credit is given. Okay, may mga times na tayo pa ang magko-compute ng tax credit. Ko-compare pa natin the lower or the higher of. Okay, and if you're going to deduct tax due less tax credit, then that is your tax due and liability. Okay, tax due or tax liability. So here, presenting to you the new tax table under the train law. So we have here the annual income bracket. Okay, if mapapansin ninyo, from 0 but not over 250,000, ayan, wala pa to yung tax rate. Meaning, you will be exempted from tax. Ayan, tumaas, no? Ayan. Pero dahil tumaas yan, we are not allowed to deduct na personal and additional exemptions. Tinanggal na din yan ng train law. Okay? In lieu of this one. So, parang andito na. Okay? So, you are not allowed na or wala ng personal exemption, your arbitrary amounts, and additional exemption pagdating sa dependents, tinanggal na yun ng tax code. Eh, yung PPHHI, sir, tinanggal din yun. Okay? So, ayan. So, tax liability ka lang if your income will be over 250. Halimbawa, 255. So, the 250, wala ka pang tax. The excess of 250, which is 5,000, will be subject to 15%. Ganun lang ang apply natin sa tax table na to. Okay? So, yung source natin, this is from the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN Act. Next is the minimum wage earner. So, under the Revenue Regulation Number 8, Series of 2018, minimum wage earner refers to a worker in the private sector who is paid with statutory minimum wage rates, or to an employee in the public sector with compensation income if not more than the statutory minimum wage rates in the non-agricultural sector where the worker or employee is assigned. So guys, minimum wage earner, as a rule, is tax exempt as long as wala kang other income Okay, na generate aside from being a minimum wage earner. So, when we say minimum wage earner, yung sweldo natin is minimum only, which is prescribed, okay, by the government. Okay, so every cities and municipalities have different rates, okay, of minimum wage per rate. Okay, dito sa Mindanao, it's 300 plus. Pagdating naman doon sa mga commercialized areas na talaga, it's more of 500 na. Kasi mahal din yung cost of living nila doon. Okay, such statutory minimum wage rate are exempted from income tax. Likewise, the exemption covers holiday pay, overtime, night shift differential pay, and hazard pay earned by MWE. So, for short, exempt si minimum wage earner as long as wala siyang other income. Kasi kapag may other income si minimum wage earner, yung income niya, aside from the compensation plus the compensation, will be subject to tax. We have here an illustrative problem. Okay, so Mr. JKL, a minimum wage earner, works for Y-Lead Incorporated. He is not engaged in business nor has any other source of income. So, mapapansin natin, state talaga sa problem na wala siyang other source of income other than his employment. So, for 2018, Mr. JKL earned a total compensation income of 135,000 pesos. The taxpayer contributed SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig amounting to 5,000 and has received 13-month pay of 11,000. His income tax liability will be computed as follows. So, since compensation ito, 135 less the mandatory contributions, itong SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig natin, and aside from that, the non-taxable benefits, 11,000. So, which is a total of 16,000 pesos. So, ilan ba yung ceiling nga natin, sir? According to train law, 90,000. Dati, 82,000 lang yan for your reference. But because of train law, okay, pinataasan din nila yung other exemptions nila. Okay? Or ceiling ng exemptions nila naging from 82 naging 90,000. So here, our taxable income is 119,000 pesos. Before we proceed to another example, let me just give or add information to the previous slides. Since the taxable income is 119,000 pesos, it could not mean na meron siyang babayaran tax liability kasi according sa tax table ng train law, you will be subject to tax if your income is 250,000 pesos or in excess or higher than 250. However, yung taxpayer natin is MWE, minimum wage earner. Therefore, exempt siya. Okay? Ayan. So, for example, meron siyang additional information. The following year, Mr. JKL earned, aside from his basic wage, the additional pay of 140,000, which is consists of an overtime pay of 80,000, night shift differential of 30, hazard pay of 15, and holiday pay of 15. He has the same benefits and contributions as above yung preceding examples natin. So, how will we compute for his tax due? Compensation income, 135 pa din. Less natin yung overtime, night shift differential, hazard, and holiday pay. These are exempt under the law, right? So, that's 140,000. Therefore, the total income is 275. Okay. Less natin yung mandatory benefits natin, na 5,000 coming from the SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. And aside from that, the non-taxable benefits na 11,000. So, for a total of 16,000. So, therefore, 275 less 16, your net taxable income is 259. Now, 250, sir. More than 250,000. Question. Okay. Subject ba siya for tax, sir? No. Bakit? The reason is the taxpayer is a tax exempt as a minimum wage earner. The statutory minimum wage as well as the holiday pay, overtime, night shift differential and hazard pay received by such MWE are specifically exempted from income tax due under the law. So, maliwanag na maliwanag yan. So, let's proceed to the taxation on compensation income. So, purely compensation earner. The taxable income for compensation earner under Section 3B of the Revenue Regulations Number 8 Series of 2018 is the gross compensation income less non-taxable benefits such as but not limited to 13-month pay and other benefits which is subject to limitation under Section 6G of the regulation. We have also included the minimis benefits and employee share in the SSS, GSIS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig contributions, and union dues. So, under Section 3B of the Revenue Regulations, as an reference lang, individuals earning purely compensation income shall be taxed based on the graduated income tax rates shown in the Table 1. Okay, so yung table na binigay ko sa inyo kanina, okay, the tax table for the train law. Husband and wife, okay, shall compute their individual income tax rate separately based on their respective taxable income. So, yun naman, walang pinagbago. Ganun pa din siya based sa old NIRC and under the train law. Okay? May separate computation po ng income tax si husband at saka si wife. If any income cannot be attributed or identified as income exclusively earned or realized by either of the spouses, the same shall be divided equally between the spouses to determine the respective taxable income. Okay? Ayan. So, kung hindi natin ma-identify yung expenses, kung kanino ba talaga, kay husband ba o kay wife, divided equally na lang. Okay? We have an illustrative problem number 1 based on the preceding information. Mr. JKS, a financial controller of ABC Company, earned annual compensation of 1.5 million in 2018. Inclusive na siya ng 13-month in other benefits amounting to 120 but net of mandatory contributions. So, nakanet na po ang mandatory contributions like SSS and PhilHealth. Wala na tayong ibabawas. So, paano natin i-compute yung tax due niya? Remember, compensation pa tayo ha. So, ang total compensation niya is 1.5 million. Ililess natin yung 13-month pay and other benefits. Magkano ba ang benefits niya? 120. Ano ang sabi ng train law? Ang ceiling lang ng train law, sir, is 90,000. Therefore, the whole 120 cannot be deducted as non-taxable 13-month pay and other benefits kasi ang maximum lang natin is 90,000 under the train law. So, the remaining 30,000 will be subject to tax. Therefore, 1.5 less 90,000, that is your total taxable compensation income that amounts to 1,410,000 pesos. Then, okay, so get your copy of the new tax table under the train law. So on the tax on 800 will be 130,000 and the excess between 1,410,000 over the 800 will be multiplied by 30% as refer in the tax table. That's 183,000 pesos. Therefore, the tax due on compensation income is 313,000. Bakit may tax na siya, sir? Kasi lumagpas na siya ng 250,000. Okay, so as mapapansin ninyo, yung computation natin, wala na siyang personal exemptions. Okay? Kasi compensation income to. At kung may personal exemptions man, hindi na siya applicable under the train law. Okay, so this part is applicable for mixed income earners. Okay, so what about if the individuals earning both income from compensation and from self-employment? Okay, self-employment refers to business or practice of profession. Ano ba yung magiging tax application ng tax natin dito? So, the compensation income if mixed earner ka will be subject to the tax rates prescribed under Section 24, yung tax table ng train law. Okay, as amended. And the income from business or practice of profession, okay, shall be subject to the following. So, yung compensation again, subject siya sa tax table. Pero yung business mo or practice of profession, mamimili ka pa. Okay? If the gross sale or receipts and other non-operating income do not exceed the VAT threshold. So, under the train law, the VAT threshold is 3 million. Okay? Dati, nung hindi pa train law, 1,919,000 yan. Okay? Because of train law, naging 3 million yan. VAT threshold natin. So, the individual has the option to be taxed at. Okay? Kung nag-exceed ng 3 million ang sales mo. So, may option ka na gumamit ng graduated income tax rates or 8% income tax rate based on gross sales or receipts. Okay, gross sales yan o receipts. Alam na natin kung paano i-identify yung gross sales. Alam na natin i-identify yung gross receipts. Okay, it doesn't mean na gross sale yan, hindi natin i-deduct yung sales and discount. I-deduct pa din as long as it is properly credited and recorded. Pero kapag hindi recorded, ayun, sabi ng tax code, hindi yan pwedeng i-deduct sa sales natin. In other operating income in lieu of the graduated income tax rates and percentage under tax section. Tax under section 116 of the tax code as amended. So meaning kapag ang sales mo is more than 3 million, you can choose either graduated income tax or 8% based on gross sales or receipts. However, if the gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income exceeds, okay, the VAT threshold, okay, parang medyo nagkamali ako doon. Yung kanina, hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, okay? Hindi nag-exceed ha, ayun, baka nalito kayo. Hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million, meaning 2 million plus ka lang. Okay, so may option ka, graduated or 8%. Pero kapag nag-exceed, okay, ng VAT threshold, which is 3 million or more, the individual shall be subject to graduated income tax rates. Okay, ulitin natin ha. Kung mixed income earners ka, may compensation at saka meron kang income from business or practice of profession, yung compensation mo, diretso ka na tax table ng train law. Pero kapag business or profession ka, mamimili ka pa. Okay? Kasi you need to classify if VAT threshold ba o hindi. So, kapag lumagpas ka ng VAT threshold, wala ka ding choice kundi tax table ka. Pero kapag hindi ka naglagpas ng VAT threshold, which is below 3 million, so may option ka. Tax table or 8% tax rate based on gross sales or receipts. So, ito yung nabago ngayon sa train law. Okay, ano yung bago dito? The 8% optional tax rate. Okay, for mixed income earners. So, let's continue our illustrative example number 2. Mr. JKS pa din tayo. An accountant of ABC Company earned annual compensation income of 1.5 million pesos in 2018 inclusive, which means naka-include dyan yung 13-month and other benefits in the amount of 120. Naka-include na ha, but net of mandatory contribution. So, kapag hindi yan naka-net, i-deduct pa din natin yan. Okay? Pero dito, maganda or good thing na diniduct na nila agad-agad. So, aside from the employment, okay, meaning mixed income earner na siya. He owns a convenience store. So, that's business. With a gross sales of 2.4, his cost of sales, ayun, cost of goods sold natin, in other operating expenses are 1,600,000 respectively. And with non-operating income, may other income pa siya na 100,000 pesos. So, alam na natin na kapag ganito, mixed income earners, yung compensation niya is subject to tax table. However, the business, ayun, mamimili pa tayo if lumagpas man ng VAT threshold yung sales niya. With regards to this problem, 2.4 lang. So, meaning hindi siya nag-exceed ng VAT threshold. So, ano yung magiging option niya? May option siya to be taxed at income tax table or 8% based on gross sales or receipts. Continue the problem. Let's have the situation letter A. His tax due for 2018 shall be computed as follows if he opted to be taxed at 8%. So, meaning, he opted to choose 8%. to be taxed sa kanyang business income. So, yung compensation income niya is taxable pa din. Pero yung business income niya will be subjected to 8%. Okay, so compensation muna tayo. So, the total compensation income, 1.5 less non-taxable 13-month pay and other benefits since 120 yun doon. So, hindi pwede kasi hanggang 90,000 lang tayo, sabi ng train law. So, 1,410,000. Okay, compute natin. 800, that is 130,000 based on the scheduler rate. The excess of 1.4 million over 800, multiply natin by 30%, that's 183. Therefore, the tax due on your compensation income is 313,000 pesos. Now, medyo madali lang compensation computation. Let us now move on to your business income. For your business income, you have your gross sales, 2,400,000. Add natin yung other operating income natin, non-operating income, that's 100,000 pesos. Therefore, your total business income is 2.5 million pesos. Mumultiply natin to siya by your 8% optional rate. Ayan. That is 200,000 pesos. Therefore, if you're going to add 313 from your compensation tax and tax due to business income 200, the total income tax due both from compensation and business is 513,000 pesos. So let's proceed with the next scenario. What if in his tax due for 2018, he did not opt to choose 8% income tax based on gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income? So therefore, if hindi niya pinili yung 8% since hindi naman siya nag-exceed ng VAT threshold, definitely gusto niya i-tax ito at scheduler tax rate, yung binigay ng train law. Therefore, ayan, ito yung computation. Pwede nating pagsabayin yung computation ng income nila, ay ng tax natin. Okay? So, total compensation income na compute na natin yan, that's 1,410,000. Bakit 90 lang yan? Kasi ang 120, sabi ng train law, 90 lang. Okay? So, add natin yung taxable income from the business. So, since hindi na tayo 8%, so, ang magiging basihan dito ng tax natin is your net income. So, we will begin with the gross sales. LLS natin yung 1 million as cost of sales. Your gross income is 1.4 million. I-add natin yung operating expenses mo na 600,000. So, therefore, your net income from operation is 800. Then, aside from that, may non-operating income ka na 100,000 pesos. Therefore, the total is 900,000 pesos. Itong 900,000 from your business and your taxable compensation income, 1,410,000, pwede mo na siya pagsabayin kasi naman, same lang naman sila ng basis, the scheduler tax. Hindi naman natin gitax or hindi naman pinili ng taxpayer na the business income will be subject to 8%. So, same lang sila. Pwede lang natin i-add 1,410,000 plus 900,000 which is equal to 2,310,000 pesos. On that note, we can now compute our tax due. So, since that is 2,310,000, refer lang natin sa tax table natin. The tax on the 2 million is 490,000 while the excess of the 2.3 million over the 2 million will be multiplied by 32%, which is 99,200. Again, doon tayo mag-refer sa new scheduler tax rate na binigay ng train law. So, the total income tax both from business and income compensation will be 589,200 pesos. Okay, so let's continue our topic, the minimis and other benefits. Although it was already explained sa previous video tutorial ko, okay, balik lang natin to refresh. Okay, when we say de minimis according to Revenue Regulations number 11, series of 2018, the following shall be considered as de minimis benefits not subject to income tax as well as withholding tax on compensation income of both managerial and rank and file employees. So, small benefits ito granted by the law. Okay, as per Revenue regulation, the following income payments are exempted from the requirement of withholding tax. Okay, hindi sila pwedeng i-withheld on compensation but may be subject to income tax depending on the nature or sources of income earned by the individual recipient. So, ito mga de minimis is may mga amounts naman siya or ceiling. Kapag nag-exceed yun, for example, sa rice subsidy, 2,000 pesos. So, kapag na-exceed yan, so that is taxable na. Okay? Pero, dadaan muna siya sa ceiling na 90,000. If na-add na lahat ng benefits, okay, so, if nag-exceed ng 90,000, yung sobra is taxable na siya. Okay, to continue with the de minimis and other benefits, we have also 13-month pay and other benefits. So, 13-month pay, equivalent to the mandatory 1-month basic salary of officers and employees of the government, including government-owned and controlled corporations and or private offices, receive after the 12-month pay. And other benefits such as Christmas bonus, productivity incentives, loyalty award, gift in cash or in kind, and other benefits of similar nature actually received by officials and employees of both government and private offices. Ayan, including the additional compensation allowance granted and paid to officials and employees of the national government agencies or NGAs, including the state universities, GOCCs, government financial institutions, and local government units. So the above stated exclusions, A and B shall cover benefits paid or accrued during the year, provided that the total amount shall not exceed 90,000. So yung sinabi ko kanina na halimbawa sa de minimis, may excess siya. So yung 2,000 will be non-taxable, tapos yung the other will be subject to ceiling. Lahat ng mga hindi o yung mga excess, pwede silang i-add dito sa 13-month pay and other benefits. Okay? Kapag hindi naman na-fill in yung 90,000, pwedeng-pwede pa din itong i-consider dito sa other benefits. So, kapag nag-ano lang, sumobra ng 90,000, that's the time na magiging taxable na talaga yung mga excess na yun. Kasi nga, hanggang 90,000 lang yung ceiling for the 13-month pay and other benefits. De minimis and other benefits also includes GSIS, SSS, your Medicare and other contributions. So these are mandatory contributions and these are really tax exempt. However, kapag compensation income of minimum wage earners who work in private sectors being paid by statutory minimum wage as fixed by the Regional Tripartite Wage and Productivity Board, National Wages and Productivity Commission applicable to the place where he is assigned, as well as the compensation of employees in the public sector who are paid not more than the statutory minimum wage applicable to non-agricultural sector, ayan, applicable to the place where he or she assigned. Okay? So, nasabi ko to kanina, diba? Na kapag minimum wage earners ka, okay, ilang rate ba, sir? Walang fix kasi every municipality or city have different minimum wage. Okay? Depende yan kung agricultural or non-agricultural sector ka. Okay? So, therefore, kapag MWE ka, hindi ka talaga magiging taxable. Okay? You will be exempt. Pero kapag you have other income, okay, as I repeat again and again, magiging taxable ka na. Lahat ng income mo kahit minimum wage earner ka pa. So let's proceed to the taxation of business income or income from the practice of profession. Now, what is our ruling here under the train law? So according to Section 3 of the said regulation, individual earning purely from self-employment and or practice of profession whose gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income does not exceed the value-added tax threshold as provided under Section 199 of the Tax Code as amended shall have the option to avail. So, meaning if you are individual na nag-earn ka purely self-employment, okay, or gi-practice mo yung profession mo, and whose gross sales or receipts plus yung other non-operating income mo, so lahat ng income mo, do not exceed the value-added tax threshold. Meaning, hindi nag-exceed lahat ng sales, receipts, or other non-operating income mo by 3 million, you will have an option to be taxed at graduated rates, yung binigay natin a while ago, okay, the tax table as of the moment na binigay ng trade law, okay? Ayan, or 8% on the gross sales or receipts and other non-operating income more than 250,000 pesos in lieu of the graduated income tax rates and the percentage tax under Section 116. So, meaning, meron kang option to be taxed at 8%, okay, more than 250,000. Okay, bakit may 250,000 yan, sir? Kasi 'di ba tinanggal na yung personal exemptions and additional personal exemptions for for dependents. Kaya ito yung parang maging kapalit niya. Okay, 8% in 8% on sales, receipts, and other non-operating more than 250,000 in lieu of the graduated income tax rates. Simplify the concept, we have an illustration here. So if you are a VAT registered, ayun, you will be using the revised graduated income tax rates plus 12%. But if you are not a VAT registered, you will be, okay, ayan, you will be basing if it's your gross receipts nag-exceed ba ng 3 million VAT threshold. If the answer is yes, okay, you will be using the revised graduated income tax rates plus 12%. If the answer is no, ayan, you will have an option, okay? Non-VAT ka, tapos hindi nag-exceed ng 3 million. So, you will have an option to 8% tax on gross sales in excess of 250 kasi after 250,000, may corresponding tax rates na siya. And the revised graduated income tax rates plus 3%, okay, percentage tax. Okay, please take note that the taxpayer subject to other percentage tax and partners of general professional partnership by virtue of their distributive share in the GPP shall have no option to avail the 8% tax. Okay? So, ayan. The option to be taxed at 8% should be signified in the first quarter. Lalong-lalo na kapag individual ka and you will be paying per quarter basis. Also take note that non-VAT registered taxpayers who initially opted to avail the 8% tax but has exceeded the threshold during the year shall be subject to 3% percentage tax on the first 3 million without penalty if payment was made on the following month when the threshold was breached. So, excess over 3 million shall be subject to VAT. Let's use this illustration as our first example. So here, the taxpayer signifies her intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate. Now, Miss ABC operates a convenience store while she offers bookkeeping services to her clients. May convenience store siya. Aside from the business operation, mayroon siyang self-employment activity, okay? That's bookkeeping services and the practice of his profession. In 2018, her gross sales amounted to 800,000 pesos. Okay, kailangan natin yung data na yan. In addition to her receipts from bookkeeping services of 300,000, aside from the business income and professional income niya, she already signified her intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate in her first quarter return. So, meaning kapag ang ginawa niya, pinili niya 8% on his first quarter return, okay, this will be uniformly applied on the next quarters to come. So, let us now solve the problem or the tax due of this illustration. Income tax liability for the year will be computed as follows. So, if we could still remember the gross sales of the convenience store, that's 800,000, plus yung income niya from the bookkeeping, the practice of his or her profession is 300,000 pesos. Okay, so the total sales or receipts, it's 1,100,000. Now, we have to less the amount allowed as deduction, okay? Kasi he opted to choose or the company opted to choose 8% over 250,000. 250,000 kasi under the tax is not taxable. Okay, pero hindi naman siya gumamit dito ng tax rates, okay, or tax table or graduated schedule. Pero under kapag ano kasi business or profession or practice of profession, okay, so if you're going to choose 8%, that that could be over, okay, 250. So the excess or the ano na the income which is in excess of 250,000 will be subjected to 8%. So ito yung parang difference niya doon sa compensation income. Okay? So 1,100,000 and 250,000 tax due 850. Okay, multiply it by 8%, optional tax, that's 68,000 pesos. So, wag tayong malito ha. Kanina kasi compensation and other income yon. That is why the 8%, when we are going to compute the 8%, wala siyang less na 250. Kasi nga, di ba, we are using the schedular tax. Okay? Ayun. So, dito, since ang kapartner ng ano niya, business income is profession, okay, when we are going to compute this one, this is in excess of 250 if we are going to opt to choose to 8%. So, our tax due here is 68,000 pesos. Here another illustration. What if the taxpayer failed to signify her intention to be taxed at 8%? So, hindi niya na-signify na 8% pala ang pipiliin niyang tax rate for the first quarter. So, let us read. Miss ABC above failed to signify her intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate on gross sales in her initial quarterly income tax return. And she incurred the cost of sales and operating expenses amounting to 600,000 and 200,000 respectively. Therefore, the income tax shall be computed as follows. She failed or the company failed to signify 8%. Eto. So, they will be taxed at the tax table. Okay? So, sales or receipts, 1,100,000. Less natin yung cost of sales niya. So, this is in relation to the illustration number 1 ha. Baka magtaka kayo sa figures niya. Then, the gross income is 500,000. Less natin yung OPEX or operating expenses, 200,000. Therefore, our taxable income here is 300,000. Then, check our tax table or scheduler rates. So, 300 less 250 kasi ang 250 is 0 pa yung tax rate niya. In excess of the 250, this will be subject to 20%. Therefore, the tax due is 10,000 pesos. Okay? If hindi ninyo sure kung ano yung rates, okay, you may look again to the tax table or scheduler rate to verify and para ma-familiarize ninyo. We have here another illustration. Taxpayer signified his interest but the gross sales or receipts exceeded the VAT threshold during the taxable year. So, Mr. BCD signified his intention to be taxed at 8% income tax rate on gross sales in his first quarter income tax return. So, when we use the first quarter income tax return at 8%, so dapat it should be uniformly applied. However, nag-exceed yung VAT threshold niya dito. Okay, so his total sales in the first 3 quarters amounting to 3 million with fourth quarter sales to 3,500,000. Therefore, on the third quarter pa lang, okay, malapit na siya to exceed the VAT threshold. So if nag 3 million plus na yan, so therefore most definitely the business will be vatable na. So on the fourth quarter nag-exceed na talaga kasi ang sales niya is 3.5 million. Now, what will be the accounting treatment for this? In this presentation, we have here the very detailed information about this problem. So, on the first quarter to third quarter, 8% optional tax rate yung ginamit niya. So, may total sales siya na 500 first, second quarter, 500 pa din, and the third quarter, 2 million. So, that makes 3 million yung pinaka-accumulative niya na sales. And now, in the fourth quarter, we have 3.5. So, we have here the cost of sales, gross income, operating expenses, and the taxable income. Okay? Kasi if you will deduct your sales, the cost of sales, you could get your gross income. If from the gross income, you will be deducting the operating expenses, you will be getting the taxable income. Now, how are we going to solve this one and for the tax due. Kasi first quarter to second quarter, 8% tax rate. On the fourth quarter, we are going to use now the scheduler tax rate since nag-exceed na siya ng VAT threshold. Meaning, so ang magiging tax credit natin mamaya will be basing on the 8% optional tax rate from first to third quarter. So the solution of that problem will be as follows. So if you're going to compute the taxable income, so from the sales, i-add mo yung lahat ng quarter, 6.5, less the cost of sales from first to fourth quarter, that's 3 million. So therefore, you will be getting 3.5 million gross income, less operating expenses from first to fourth quarter. So meaning you will have a taxable income of 2,060,000 pesos. Now, for you to get the income tax due here, so the 2,060,000 will be subjected to scheduler tax rates. So please check your tax table and then multiply the appropriate tax due. So after which you will be getting 509,200, which is the tax due under the graduated rates. However, ito yung pinaka-tax ng first to fourth quarters. Meron na tayong nabayaran na tax, okay, tax due on the first to third quarter. So meaning kailangan natin siyang i-less, okay, to get the annual income tax payable on the fourth quarter. So meaning 8% man yung ginamit natin doon sa first to third quarter, so kailangan yung 8% na yun will be deducted from the fourth quarter. So from your 3 million, less kayo ng 250 kasi business income ito, or self-employment, okay, multiply it by 8%, so the tax due which was already paid from first to third quarter is 220,000 pesos. Therefore, our annual income tax payable after deducting the 220 from the 509 will be 289,200 pesos. We are now down to our last illustration. So our illustration is gross receipts exceeded the VAT threshold. Okay, so Mr. DAF is a prominent independent contractor who offers architectural and engineering services. Since his career flourished, his total gross receipts amounted to 4,250,000 for taxable year 2018. His record cost of service and operating expenses were 2,150,000 and 1 million respectively. So for us to compute the income tax liability, this will be computed as follows. So we have to add first the architectural and engineering services, which is 4,250,000. Ililess natin yung cost of service natin, which is 2,150,000, para makuha natin yung gross income worth 2,100,000. Now, ililess natin yung 1 million. Okay, before natin i-continue, we could say na yung gross receipts niya talaga is nag-exceed ng VAT threshold. So, meaning, hindi tayo gagamit ng optional, kundi yung tax table natin. So, our taxable income here is 1,100,000. So, we will be using our tax table or the graduated income tax rate as per train law. So, on 800, the tax will be 130,000, while the excess of 1,100,000 over 800 will be multiplied by 30%, and then nakuha natin yung 90,000 pesos. Add all them together, we have an income tax due of 220,000 pesos. So that's how you solve tax on individuals pagdating sa train law. So in solving the income tax due for this approach looks so very simple as long as you know how to apply, okay, self-employment and underemployee-employer relationship. So you have just to remember the shortcuts and the basis of taxing individuals.